All right. I am here with Bobby Harris, owner of Blue Grace. How you doing, brother?
Doing great, Matt. How about yourself?
I'm doing awesome, man. Super excited to get talking with you today. So let's start right off, man. Can you just explain what Blue Grace is? When did you start it? And why did you start it?
So Blue Grace, first off, is just the names of my daughter. That's their middle names, Haley Blue, Mercedes Grace. Started Blue Grace in 2009. And what we do is we help businesses throughout the United States and North America ship to other businesses and other people throughout the same North American region. We utilize technology to do this, as well as 600 other members that assist in whether engineering or facilitating, and creating smart ways of moving goods throughout our network. And again, technology enabled in doing so.
Nice. So how the heck did you even get into this? This is like a very random niche. Like not many people are like, you know what? I'm going to probably get into logistics. That's going to be it. So how did you get in?
Well, I started at the very bottom level. I was a dock worker out of high school. Just as I was going through college, it was a great gig to pick up at nighttime. And so I basically loaded and unloaded trucks. And then from there, I stayed with this company and learned different ways of how goods moved and how it went through their network. And I only worked for two different employers until I went on my own, both great companies that I still have great relationships with today. But what I realized was much like the airline carriers, there's no one size fits all. And everything that moves should look at all the opportunities, but it's just very, very difficult to look at thousands of options for each possible shipment. And so I realized that technology would be able to make all those decisions that take so long to put together to make the right best decision for your supply chain. You can do that with technology. And in 2009, America was going through a pretty big recession. So interestingly enough, rewinding to that, I had bought into another system where I was a franchisee, and I got up to 23 franchisees. The thing was, a lot of that network was dependent upon DHL. So it was a lot of small parcel. My franchisees weren't, but the corporation that I was channeled to was. I was purchasing the franchisor. I was using some help from a private equity out of New York. We were going to buy out the franchisor in Utah and move it to Tampa and manage the 200 plus franchisee locations from Tampa. But 81% of that was connected to DHL. My business was only 25% connected. So at the end of 2008, November 15, 2008, right when we were about to strike the deal, everything was just life-changing for me. It was going to be fantastic. I went from having a very, very big paycheck and very big prospect of running a pretty large corporation from Tampa, go to exactly zero. Not just like that's not going to happen, but your business is also worthless when DHL decided to exit the United States. So out of the ashes, it was January 1st is when we opened up. I didn't have much time, and I plunked everything I had and all the remnants and said, I'm going to try this thing. And it was kind of fortuitous because Blue Grace became exponentially larger than anything I would have done before. And it was just a dark day when that hits. I can tell you some stories on that, but the reality was we knew that small and medium-sized businesses were suffering the most. They obviously couldn't afford the technology. Moving goods is about the second biggest cost of what hits many, especially if you're a manufacturer, distributor. Right behind your cost of people was that. So the information that was available to people that wasn't so valuable before now became very valuable to CFOs and CEOs. They wanted to find out, hey, how can we improve our experience to our customers? And these are some of the largest names, like global brands. They are always focused on the consumer, but they also wanted to reduce cost. And we were giving them something that was just a no-brainer in a time that things were going into a recession or well into the recession. And we were doing that at the same time that they needed that expertise more than ever.
That's amazing. Yeah. And just on a very small scale, I used Blue Grace a dozen times for buying mats for the Jiu Jitsu school.
Yeah.
So basically, you know, I bought just a couple weeks ago, I bought 15 mats, and Zebra quoted me about $780 for the shipping. And then I called your guys and the shipping was like $290. So just
Yeah.
on that little small scale, what's that? Almost 3 times cheaper than I would have paid. Just imagine a company that's shipping all day or all night for, you know, that much savings. You know, that's how valuable you are to the other companies, is what I'm assuming. So you said once that you were like the cheaptickets.com for these freight companies, right? Is something like that?
Well, no, not you definitely got that mixed up.
Or the orbits.
Yeah, we use orbits of the decision because we, you know, one of the great things for us is we get a lot of contracts through the carriers, and we want to make sure that they're profitable as well. The thing is it's also a revenue center for many companies, and sometimes they'll upcharge freight double, triple. The other thing is it's not just about how cheap the rate is, it's about the decisions that are made. Sometimes it's as simple as looking at a customer that's shipping 100 shipments into the Northeast a day and going, hey, have you thought about consolidating? Have you thought about not shipping on the same day? Have you thought about putting a warehouse in the Northeast so that we could do what we call a pool distribution model? And our technology will tell them exactly the best way to do that. And then at the same time, it also gives a lot of governance on what are you paying against what you were quoted? How do you trace it? How do you track it? How do you know where to pull your inventory from? It's, you know, a few years ago, it was very hard to explain the importance of supply chain. Today, it's, you know, the top of the list for everybody. It's like, I can't get nothing in. I can't get my cars. It's anything with a semiconductor. Rates are going through the roof. You just saw the president, I think it was today or just recently. I don't know if it was the news that came out today where I was reading, but he's talking about the ocean container rates going up 6-7 times.
Yep.
His message was, hey, this ends now. We can't keep doing this because it's a big reason for inflation. You know, the price of gas has gone up tremendously, but diesel's gone up even more.
Yeah.
And there's a surcharge to everything that gets moved. So you got to monitor that and look for the most effective way to get costs down, to help with inflation and to help businesses be profitable and you know, facilitate the movement for their customers.
Nice. So you had that setback where the, you know, 2009 hit, you know, DHL moved out of the US, and now you're thinking, okay, you have this idea, you know exactly what you want to do, and now from then to now you have to build. So what were you thinking, you know, in 09, where, okay, I need a team, right? Obviously is the first thing. And then there's always stuff about you online about like how you built such an amazing culture at your facility. You invited me there. I've watched everybody, you know, around, and everybody's happy. Everybody seems to be having fun. And so how did you build that? Like, was that your idea from in 09 to now to have that, or did it kind of like, you know, you got the ideas later?
No, that's always where that's always been there. And the reason is because the people that I've associated in this industry, as with any industry, that's the first thing I looked for was, hey, I know some real sharp people, but I needed sharp people that are also, or people you want to spend every day with. And you got to figure out how do they not just treat you, but how will they treat the people that they're going to lead. So the first people you start your business with are very critical because, you know, not all, but a lot of them will continue with you for a long time and help create the foundation of which everything is built. There's no way for me to get out to the hundreds and hundreds of people that work for Blue Grace on a daily basis. But if you create a expectation within your leadership and their leaders, you can get it to a very viral effect. And that's always been intentional, you know, just like your business and any other business, when you're, whether you own it, operate it, lead it, or just new, you spend a lot of time there.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you sleep for about 8 hours a night, give or take, and you work all day and you get a couple hours with your family, if you're lucky, and you spend even more time at work. So it's got to be with people you like. It's got to be with people you're enjoying. It's got to be an atmosphere that you want to come to. Because when you start going, oh God, I got to go to work, and you're the one that's leading it, that's a problem. You can never let it get there. Yeah. If it gets that way, you got to change it. So I just got amazing, amazing people. And, you know, we hire for culture. That's the first thing. We say 50% of your job expectation, your job performance is based on how well you adhere to the culture or how much you embody it.
Wow. So what are some of the things you do to create that culture? Like just little things you do at the office, policies, rewards?
Well, we do a lot of things like that, but I'll say the first thing you should start with in any business, I'm trying to think of what transcends all industries, is transparency.
Mhm.
One thing I find more and more, and this has just been over the last 10 years, is it grows every year. People want to know a little bit more about, hey, why are we here? Like, and it's not just, it doesn't just have to be, a noble cause, although that's, a bigger and bigger part as well. But they want to know, are we successful? What is success? Not just for me, not just for my department, but what's the company looking like? Am I with the winner? Am I with a loser? Are we trending up? Are we trending down? Because it's okay to have bad times as long as you're sharing with good people. Remember, if you're bringing them in and they're adhering to the culture, they want to do big things. So you have to share your values with them. You got to share your vision with them. You got to share numbers with them, and that's the good and the bad. So I think transparency is one of the big things that I would say. And we do an all hands meeting at least once or twice a month, just to share the financials and the numbers.
Wow.
We do a lot of other things. We do something we call executive forum, where everyone in the C-suite takes about 5 to 6 people, and we meet once every couple of weeks, and we just select a random group. And we can talk about anything. We talk about Jiu Jitsu. If they came in here, look, one of my goals is to get a belt. And we'll all help each other. The next thing might be business. The next thing might be, hey, I'm really concerned, about this or that. But it's just a way for us to create a little bit of connectivity with everybody in the company.
That feels like something you told me about, a book you had me read called Dream Manager. Is that kind of?
Yeah, it's a great
okay.
book.
Yeah, it was good. Okay.
And that's the thing. A lot of times the goals of your people might not be, sometimes it's, hey, Bobby, I want to get a supply chain degree from MIT. That's great. But what if it's, hey, I want to get a finish college and become a school teacher? That doesn't align with what we do, but it's not the point. The point is, if you help someone for what they want to do, they'll always return that in spades. And it's a really nice place to be. You can't always do that, but it's for the people that want to invest the time in you and your leadership and put that trust in them. It's a really big thing to create that. We do things like Free Beer Friday. Every Friday we tap kegs, but we also do free lunches now. We bring in, our big thing to do is bring in food trucks, and people like to be together. We give a lot of flexibility. Some people work from home more than others, but we typically like to have most people here just to collaborate, and most people do that by choice. We have President's Club once a year. This year we're going to Cabo San Lucas for the top performers, and we do that every year. We do a tremendous amount of recognition, and we always play music. It's always got some kind of boisterousness in here. It's a very relaxed, chill place. But the biggest thing you got to do is talk about your values over and over. Make sure you hire for those, and also you got to fire for those as well. You can't let toxic people stay in your environment. It's one of the harder things to do, but I couldn't tell you how important that is, especially on the hiring front. When you bring somebody in, they check all the boxes, but they just don't seem to have those same core values, And
then you also had an open door policy. Is that correct?
It is. It's easy to say an open door policy, but it's funny. You have to push that. You can't just say it's open door. You have to go, hey, please come see me. I'm available.
How do you get your stuff done when people are, I don't know how often people come in. How many employees do you have right now in this building?
In the building in Tampa, probably 350 to 370 right now.
So even if one came every 20 minutes, how do you get your stuff done? If maybe that is your stuff, maybe that is your number one priority is to talk to them, or how do you get the bigger picture stuff done?
It's kind of like, it's just a trust thing. People know, they'll know if you're so busy. I'm in a lot of meetings, obviously, so no one's going to interrupt the meeting. But if I'm just sitting here alone, sometimes what I did is I have a Red Bull fridge in here. I don't drink Red Bull anymore, but I used to drink quite a bit. But I have a dedicated Red Bull in here because people, if you say, hey, I got free Red Bull, let's walk in here, that crosses the line of where they go, all right, I really didn't want to walk in the CEO's office. It's kind of uncomfortable, but those damn things are $3 or $4 a piece. I'm going in. So you can encourage some of those interactions. But other than that, you have to walk, they call it MBWA, management by walking around. And you've got to force yourself to make time for that to get to everybody. And you never feel like you can get to everyone, but that helps. That's a little bit more of the openness. The other thing is they can schedule with you too.
Okay.
It's just like, if you remember in school, like, they would have teachers hours. You can go like, hey, on 3 to 4 after class on Thursdays, I have an open door. And sometimes people would wait and stuff, but you got to make time for those types of things. The other part for us is like executive forum helps in that. People think about things. They know if they're going to see you next Friday, they'll go, I got to come. Just like right now, if I had a private with Matt Arroyo next Friday and I watched something this weekend and I said, you know what, I need to figure that out. I might not call you right then, but I'll remember I got time with you. So as long as I know that I can hold it all and have those types of questions.
Nice. So you got between 300 and 400 employees right now in the Tampa office, and you have other offices somewhere else. Where else do you have?
So we have a large office in Chicago. Chicago is the mecca of logistics. It's kind of like if you're in acting, you go to Hollywood. If you're in logistics, you're in Chicago.
Okay.
We opened up in Detroit. We have a really nice office there. We opened up in Phoenix. Tremendous start there. We also have an office in Chattanooga that's doing great things. And then we have other smaller offices everywhere from San Diego to Minneapolis, a little one outside of Atlanta, Oklahoma. We have a little one outside of Nashville. So we got some of the satellite offices, but those were the big 5, the first ones I mentioned.
So last time we spoke, I think you said you doubled your gross revenue for the year in the last few years. Was that what you were saying? So where are you guys at now for 2021?
So it's funny. I was just looking at the number. We're budgeted to come in just over $1 billion.
So you actually hit the billion. You guys, I remember.
When I say forecasted,
forecasted,
we're forecasted.
And that's a goal you were telling your employees, the Project Billion, right? Or something like that, I heard.
The 3 commas.
So everybody knows that. It's not like, oh, this guy, he just wants more money. No, like we're all a part of this plan to get to this $1 billion mark for the year.
That's correct.
And so in 2022, you were projected to do that. 2021, you did not do that.
No, we did like 750 in 2021. Revenues are so actually in our industry, it's getting a little lighter. There's the customer demand you're noticing throughout the United States is going down, but we're effectively taking market share. We got some real special people doing really cool things. And right now, if we just stay on path, we'll actually come in over $1 billion.
That's insane.
That's the expectation, not just that's not a stretch goal.
In 2007, 8, 9, did you ever, in your head, was that even a thing? Or did you know, like, one day I'm going to get this to $1 billion? Or were you like, let's see where this goes? Or what was your brain like then?
It's funny. I get that question a lot, and you get and most CEOs can tell you that, like, this is how I see it. And for me, it was never like I could see this revenue, this thing. I could feel and sense a picture of this is something big. This is something everybody needs. Who knows how big this can go, but we're going to have a hell of a lot of fun along the way. But I knew it would be big. I didn't know it would be $1 billion or $2 billion. Now I can kind of see a little bit more. Now I have this, I have my team I put together, and I said, look, you're on the 5B team because we're going to pass $1 billion, whether it's early December, mid-December.
It's going to happen. Yeah.
But now what? And I'm like, we have the infrastructure. We have enough special people. I'm in the greatest city in the United States here in Tampa. And I have other amazing people throughout the rest of the US. And like, this is a 5 billion team. So if you're on the 5B team, your goal is to say 5 billion. And it's tough sometimes to just say, hey, let's get to 5 billion, because that's just a number. It's just getting big. What does it mean? So we have to also be 5 times better. We have to have 5 times better technology. People have to prosper 5 times more. We have to be just that much better, because we're not here just to build a cool logistics business. Have great technology. We're here to leave our dent.
So just for people listening, I just did a little math on my iPhone. That's about $2 million, a little over $2 million a day. Now, obviously there's expenses, probably a lot of expenses, but just to conceptualize what $750 million a year is 2 million in revenue per day. So are you guys tracking it like that? Like, today needs to be this for it to be $1 billion? Or
that's another thing, and that depends on leadership style. So for me, I like the hour to hour, day to day. I like to know that someone else is watching that, and then I aggregate at the end of the week. But right now, a good day actually is 4 million on a business day. So
4 million on a bit. Oh, because it's Saturday, Sunday, you guys are off, or?
Yeah. So it's, well, typically we process, but we know we're moving a lot of goods on Saturdays and Sundays and sometimes on the weekends, but your biggest days are weekdays. And so we process that on a Friday, and a big day would be 4, somewhere in between 3 and 3.5 would be somewhat of the lighter day as we process, but yeah.
So let's go back a little further then. So what was your upbringing like? Were you always ambitious? Did you always have these goals, or was it more something that you learned over time that you could do this, or like how did you grow up?
So I was part of a military family. My dad was in the Air Force. I was born in England. My mother was Cuban, or is Cuban, I should say. And my grandmother, my abuela, lived with us. So, you know, it's very Cuban driven heritage. My father actually was born in Newfoundland, but he was traveling a lot with the military. And I had 3 older sisters. So most of my life, I was with 5 women, 5 older women. And that was a little bit of my upbringing. I was a funny kid because I was super tall as a little kid. I haven't grown much since 13, but which put me into sports. So I was always very competitive in sports and trying to do different things. Ironically, soccer was my passion growing up as a tall kid, kind of counterintuitive.
Weird.
But I had a very, very independent lifestyle. You know, both my parents worked a lot. My mom worked 2 jobs. I kind of got in my own trouble, but it was always, you know, well loved, well supported. But it was just, you know, I would say I'm not an artist. Like I can't draw a lot of crap, but it is more the artistic side of me that made me where I am today, which is atypical. I always say a lot of people that are like me don't want to do what I do. And ironically for me, I had tremendous leaders. I didn't really want to lead businesses to make my own money or be my own boss. I just did it because I had a different vision. I wanted to do something. I was like, this will just go over great. And the work ethic that's always permeated in my family was just incredibly, incredibly strong. So that certainly helped me. And then I always, you know, the big part for me was I was never scared of failing because I have failed. And I just, you know, I'll put it back to Jiu Jitsu. The person that's not trying to fight every tap, you know, right, as a white belt is going to learn a lot quicker. And for me, I'm like, it's okay. You can fail at this and fail at that. You'll just keep coming back. I'm just going to keep coming back. And that's the kind of thing that you can bring to your business every day.
Did you have any mentors growing up? Any business mentors, or even just like life people who you looked up to and you're like, you know, learn from?
No, I still do. Yeah. I mean, it's to this day, I would say I'm still like a little kid. If I know you know something, I'll keep bothering you and asking you questions. I went on a safari a few years ago, and I know the Rangers are about to just throw me out of because I asked, like, you know, is a cougar, can a cougar beat a lion, you know, kind of thing, left and right. And I realized, man, I just asked so many questions, but a lot of times it's from people that work for me as well. I learned so much from you get so much good advice. So your mentors aren't always like the older person that's done it before, although those people exist and have made it a profound effect on me. The thing that I think is the most important thing about a mentor is a real mentor for me is the one that goes, oh, you're good. You're going to do great. I believe. It's like, whoa, is giving you the confidence, and you'll pick up some nuggets and some sage advice on how to go about and what to do. But that's the biggest thing a mentor does to you, for you. And on the same sense, a good mentor is someone that's also getting something from you. So you have a good dialogue and you help. It's just like a good friend. They help you grow. And then you look at, you know, beyond a mentor, you also have the things that inspire you. You know, when there's tough things to do, I just look at my 2 girls and go, oh, I can do that. I got to do that. That's, you know, it's for them. And then you look at the people in your business that, like, they've given everything they have to me. Like, how do I do this? I'm like, I don't know, but you're going to get through. They're relying on you. So like when the pandemic hits, you call your mentors, you call the people that inspire you, the people you do things for, and you talk to everybody and you come up with your best path and you go.
That's a good point. So a lot of entrepreneurs watching this, we all have our work. A lot of us have families. You just said you have 2 girls. So we always wonder, like, how do you balance the work life, the home life, and then you got to like do things for yourself as well, whether that be vacation or hobbies, like you said, like jujitsu, and obviously, running a Brazilian jiu-jitsu school or running something in the middle or something as big as a billion-dollar company, it's going to take more and more time to hit each of those, right? So if you're doing a billion-dollar company, you probably are needed more than if you run a Brazilian jiu-jitsu school. So especially with you, how do you balance so many things that need to be balanced and not let anything else fall to crap while you're building this?
For me, I think it's not so much balance. I always call it optimization. So when I look at it is if I say, okay, look, I want to do X hours a week of this and X hours a week of this and get this, it doesn't work. The reality is sometimes I'm so involved in my business that I'll wake up and I'll miss the workout and I'll get straight to work and I'll just go nuts, or I'm traveling and I have a schedule that just seems like insane. And it means I'm going to get very little time with, I won't get the workouts in I want, but most of all, I might not see my girls as much as I want. I might not get to talk to them, even phone calls. It can get really out of pace, but there's times when you go, you know what, things are kind of smooth. Remember, I have a really good team. And so if the time dictates it, well, maybe I do want to go on, let's say the safari and go away for a couple of weeks and get lost in Africa or go to Europe. So I find the most effective people do that. They live life out of balance, but optimally. It's no different than, hey, what if you only invested in the market during the best of times and you invested heavy and you just didn't invest a lot when it was going down? Well, if you could kind of think of that in how your time is, what I won't do is if I say, I'm not getting a lot of value out of my time today, I'm getting some, but not a lot. This isn't optimum. And I have other things I need to do. I need to spend some time. I need to go do this, see a friend or see my daughters or do something like that. That's a big thing. But I'll say the other big thing for me is it's hard for, I'm a person that likes to say yes to everything. And I would say Warren Buffett said his number one thing was he knows how to say no. He knows how to defend his time. So a lot of times you got to ask yourself, does it meet the needs? And might play the tape forward. Hey, if I do this, if I go to this, speak at this conference and fill in the blank, I'm going to spend a day traveling. I'm going to do this. Does it matter? How, and I go, you know what? Nah, it's not. And that's the big thing for me is just to kind of weigh out that value of time. The other thing is to create more time. There's so many life hacks on how to get more effective with your time and to get the more out of it. It's
share a couple.
Yeah. So usually like, if someone asks for a meeting, give them half the time. Hey, I need 30 minutes, give them 15 because it'll fit. Everything fits in the size you give it. There's one thing. The biggest thing for me is to create more energy for yourself. That's why sleeping is very important. Getting sleep, nutrition.
You just hired a nutritionist, right? And you've been doing that for a while?
For over 2 years. And he's given me, if I had to think, he's giving me an extra 15, 20 minutes a day in how much my energy is, my clarity. So I'm more effective. I have more hours because look, I like to have a lot of fun too. I'm not going to give up on that. I think it's an important part. But the other thing is I want to know the agenda. If someone says, hey, I'd love to get 30 minutes of your time, like, sure, what are we going to speak? A lot of that's just so I can prepare for them too. I want to make it worth the time. And beyond that, there's, again, just saying no in general sometimes can help you with your time. Being organized, using a lot of things that are automated, like your inbox for your Outlook, not creating habits that suck your time away. Like, I have friends that are super busy, but they're always, on their phone scrolling through Facebook. I'm like, come on, you're not that busy. I saw your, I saw your 10 posts today. So
it's true. So a lot of high achievers have a morning routine that they cherish. They get up an hour early to get these things done. Do you have anything like that you do each morning?
Yeah, so mine is a little different. I just go back to nutrition. I have a weird thing where I eat the same thing every day and it's ready to go. So I wake up, I have grilled salmon prepared same way with that's a grilled salmon, vegetables, grilled vegetables, a cup of berries, and a scoop of almond butter, 1 glass, which is basically a half liter of freshly squeezed lemon into a half liter of water.
Yep.
That is every single morning, unless I'm traveling, then I try and modify to that extent. But I'm very ritualistic on that. And 4 days of the week during the weekdays. I'll get a workout in right before that.
How much do you read?
I have not been reading as much lately, but I just started another book. But I've read a lot, and a lot of the big hits I've read. I don't read for pleasure though. If I can't figure out if I'm not going to learn something good, and sometimes I say it's good, but I'll read something that I just like to hear statistics and data, something that's nonfiction. But I do think, the people that read for just pleasure, I think it benefits them as well. It's a gap in my game.
Nice. So let's talk about Brazilian Jiu Jitsu.
Yeah.
When did you start training? Why did you start training? And how has this helped you?
So it's funny. I mentioned my dad was in the military, so he was like an amateur boxer. And so he always wanted, teach us. I'm his only son, so he wanted to box, 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 box. I had went to. It was funny. Blue Grace was doing some promotionals with the UFC, and I said, you know what, I'd like to get back and do some boxing, some formal training, because I was getting bored with my workouts. And I was, it was funny. I was actually, and you'll know this gentleman, this guy, Wagner Rocha. I was sponsoring some fighters, and I actually got to be like his his pseudo cornerman for a fight in New Orleans. Nice. And when I was talking to him, he says, hey, there's a guy, his name's Rob Kahn. He's in Tampa if you ever wanted to train. And I was like, okay. So I called Rob up, and I knew he knew a lot of people in the industry, and we were sponsoring a lot of the big names. But I went to him at first, ironically, to learn how to box. And what's funny is when we first started out, we actually started out just fitness training. I said, I just want to keep getting fit, because you guys had a lot of gym equipment there. So I'll just do some fitness training here. And when we started boxing, he said, hey, we should try jujitsu at some point. You're tall, this and that. I'm like, okay. And I'll never forget it, because when we first started, I thought, well, he's not a really big guy. He's a few years older than me. I'm pretty strong. I'm athletic. I actually know how to move a bit. So I'll just, what I call, small up. That way he can perform what he needs to perform to show me what to do. But I didn't realize it was like witchcraft. And when he so effortlessly just kept twisting me and putting me things in, I just didn't know how to do it, because it was like watching a magician, where you get done and go, okay, how'd you do that? Show me again. And no matter how many times they show you, you got to keep asking. And I was like, there's nothing I can do. And I realized it was so effortless for him. And I'm like, it was just so mind blowing to me that someone could do that. So I started going, I actually got addicted to it, because as a CEO, you want to like do different things and find ways to get your mind right. And just because every day was just a learning process for me there. And it was learning something good, but it was also physical. And I'd start reading books and, things like that were related to it. And, I always learn, one of the things is I always use from Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and I actually saw it this weekend. When you're in a dominating position, dominate. Mm-hmm. This is like when you're on top mount in Jiu Jitsu or MMA, you don't give it up. You don't, like, you'll never see me try and go for an arm triangle if I'm mounted on you from the side, unless it's so deep and I know I just got to shift to the side because I want to stay on top. And I'm going to keep putting tons of pressure on you. And it's the same thing in business. When you're in a commanding position, don't let up. You got to keep. So right now, really good times for a lot of businesses, some bad, some good, but really good times. Don't let anything get into the gaps. I find that's real big in business, is you have to keep the equal pressure that you had during desperation as in the best of times, and that will serve you well. And then one of the other adages that you've always heard, and I don't know if it's properly claimed, but it's everybody's got a plan till they're punched in the mouth.
Yep.
It's always going to be that case. And it's the same thing in jiu-jitsu. It's like when you work through the drills and you go, okay, I can't wait to try this new drill out. And someone does something, whoa, wait, I can't get to that if he's going to do this. And business is much the same way. The thing I love about a jiu-jitsu school is every type of person will come into jiu-jitsu. I've met some super successful people. You get people that come in from all walks of life, and it's just, you create really good friendships, but you learn a lot. You learn a lot about people, and there's just a lot to pick up from the people that you're around in the schools, as well as just the general teachings. And the other thing is it's discipline. I find if you find someone that's even modestly athletic, if they were disciplined enough to go into your school and say, I'm going to come here 4 days a week for the next 2 years, they're absolutely, without a doubt, going to be really good. If they put themselves, now they might not end up being, an Abu Dhabi, but they're going to be really good. I find the same thing in business. If you can stay on that disciplined mindset and come in and not keep an internal locus of control, to where you say, this is on me. I'm going to do it. I'm going to stick to it even in the bad times. It gets you through almost everything.
Yeah. And a lot of people also say about, just imagine being mounted under a 220-pound man and his hairy chest in your face and the sweat, and you're getting like, every time you breathe in his body. And just to be able to stay cool and collective in that position and not just tap out because you're uncomfortable, but to stay okay in that uncomfortability and just find a way out. And that business life, right? It kind of relates as well to.
That's great analogy.
Just stay cool, right? So your company's almost at $1 billion. You're doing well. You're doing great. You're healthy, strong, financially, everywhere. So what does keep you going? Like, the money's there. Like, after a few $100,000 a year, $1 million a year, you could do whatever the frick you want. So like, what drives you personally to say, okay, I'm just going to retire, let me take the money and run? Or why do you keep going?
Well, I think it goes back to what I started with. When you bring on people that you care about and you love, that pour themselves, and you want to make them as successful as you. So there's a lot of people that become important, that get you to where, I wouldn't be here without them. So you realize that elevation, from 600 to 1,000 to 2,000 employees, you keep going, it just becomes that much more meaningful what you can do for others. And plus, it's a real fun time. I say you want to hire people to hang around in the living room with for hours, and it's just a lot of fun. It's no different than your jiu-jitsu school. It's like, if you got really cool people and you love jiu-jitsu, we all love the same stuff. We get to hang out, do business, and make a difference. That's really cool.
It is, yeah. So you have a time machine now, and you can go back to 21-year-old Bobby, and you could tell him one thing, anything you want. What do you say?
Well, other than, the obvious stock tips that I'd give him.
Sure. Exactly.
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
I think for me, I'm a person that gets kind of anxious, not in this typical way, but the kind that would just ruminate on things. So I would say, don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff. It's just not that. The things that you're going to grip about and worry about and obsess about, it's just not that important. But the other piece of advice, I'd say, anytime you get a chance to blame yourself, do it. It's the most powerful thing I ever learned. And it's because coming up, there's so much going on in the world today. And I believe that if you go, damn it, it's, the government or the business or these people or this or that, it's not fair. It's not fair. If I do that, I can't control that, because I can't control people. So even if I have an argument with somebody, when I walk away, okay, I'm going to try and find a way to change how I felt about it, or say, did I do something that I could do better? And that helps me a lot, because again, now I can control it and go, okay, what can I do differently? And I find that's the most successful thing that successful people do.
100%. What is the book by Jocko? It's like 100%. I forget. Did you read that one?
I have not.
Something, or everything's on you kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. So what does Bobby Harris like to splurge on? Some people like clothes. Some people like vacation. Some people like shoes. What do you like? If you were going to spend a good amount of money on something, what would it be? You like cars? What's your thing?
That's I'm across the board on that, but one interesting thing, it would be shoes. You mentioned shoes. If we're talking about materialistic type things, I'm someone that loves to jump on a plane and go to a concert in another city tomorrow kind of guy, or go to UFC in Sweden just because. But yeah, I wear size 15 shoes. So growing up, remember I said I played soccer. Getting size 15 soccer shoes is like damn near impossible. Yeah. But other shoes were really tough, and we didn't have a lot of money either. So I always had some chewed up pair of shoes growing up that was usually a size too small for me. So when I figured out, hey, wait a second, now more people are making my size, and I had big feet. And again, remember 5 women raised me. So I got a pretty good shoe collection.
Nice. Awesome. All right. I'm going to spit out a fast question. So the first thing that comes to mind. All right. Favorite all-time MMA fighter?
Thiago Alves.
He is the man. Favorite all-time athlete?
Dan Marino.
Hot shower or cold shower?
Hot shower.
Favorite place to vacation?
Vegas.
Lift weights or cardio?
Weights.
Out to a club or just chill at home?
Out to the club.
Biden or Trump?
Neither.
I knew it. That's the
Yeah.
safe one. Book or movie?
Movie.
Favorite cheat meal?
Ghirardelli brownies.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna write that down. All right, last part is, do you have like a favorite investment vehicle? What do you like to invest in? Or what would you recommend investing in?
I like to invest in things that I can control, not control or at least affect. And I like, this is a big question amongst a lot of, founders and CEOs. Some of us have people in our world that are really good at managing it. I let people do that for me, because if I can do it myself, I'm going to obsess about it and it's going to take up too much of my time. I'm really big on like anything that I can get to. If I have a unique ability, I'll take it on. If I have a unique ability and I like it, I'll do it. But if there's someone better at it, I give it to them. For me, my investments, if you go into the stock world, I'm so heavily invested in my own company. So then I don't get into other things that are like mine. I'm a huge fan of things that have a lot of cash on the balance sheet. So I know Apple's popular, but that's where I keep running back to, like, hey, in tougher times, sock a lot into that. What I'm not like a real estate investor, fix them up, flip them it. I don't like something that I don't have a unique edge that not everybody else is doing. It has to be something different, because by that time the market's either fluffy or going to fall at some point, or it's just not enough upside. But I think that's, always invest in yourself wherever you can.
You get into crypto at all?
I would say less than 0.00001. And again, for me, it was like, hey, I just want to do this as like, gambling on the bucks I didn't know enough about it. I didn't know enough about crypto that I can have a conversation, but I could never understand the investment thesis on it. And I think a lot of people are finding out why now, but there's certainly some people that knew the market up and down. I just question whether they would have done that well in something else just the same.
True. All right, dude. I think I'm all out of questions, man. That was awesome. I really appreciate it. And I want to respect your time. I know you got a lot of stuff going on.
Always got time for you, Matt. Thank
I
you.
appreciate it, dude. Let's get some training in and let's continue on, man.
Can't wait.
All right, brother. Thanks again. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Take
Later,
care.
brother.